Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. And let me just say, Happy New Year, Happy New Decade. I'm Rolene Marks, and let's take a look at today's top stories. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has until midnight tonight to appeal to the Knesset for immunity. And this comes after Israel's Attorney General announced that he would be indicting the Prime Minister on three separate criminal charges, including fraud and bribery. Now, what complicates this is that Israel is in its third consecutive election cycle. So the current government, or how we stand at the moment, is that we have an interim or caretaker government. So what the Prime Minister could possibly do is ask for a postponement of his trial or ask for protection from prosecution. We are entering uncharted territory, and this comes as there is news that there is no ruling or there is no law that governs whether or not a sitting Prime Minister can be indicted. Yesterday we spoke about the fact that members of Israel's High Court were debating whether or not the Prime Minister could or should be able to form a government should he be successful in the third elections on the 2nd of March. However, the High Court has yet to deliver their ruling. Looking further afield, 100 Palestinian non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, have refused to sign an EU grant proposal that has stipulated that any monies given to these particular NGOs cannot go towards funding terror entities. Earlier last year, Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs released a report which exposed that many of these NGOs have ties to terror organizations, and the NGOs refuse under any circumstances to sign these proposals for grants. And as we begin a new decade, we look at some of the achievements by Israel over the last decade. So we've decided, and we had a good look, and we've decided on 5 of our top technologies or inventions that have come from Israel, the startup nation, or as some might say, we've moved from startup nation, we are the innovation nation. So in no particular order, let's take a look. We have Waze. I don't know if there's anybody without the Waze application on their cell phones, wherever in the world you may be, that not only helps you get from A to B with very clear directions, but also helps you see if there are traffic jams, if there are police, if there are accidents reported, reminds you to switch on your lights in winter, and also has a look to see who else is on the road that you might save on the expense of gas and buddy up and do some kind of lift scheme. Another great invention coming from Israel is WaterGen. WaterGen is a phenomenal invention that literally creates water out of thin air. So how do they do this, you might ask? Well, they suck the air out of the atmosphere and chill it, extracting the humidity from the air in the special WaterGen machine that contains several filters, and the then purified and filtered water is enabled safe for drinking, and this has been very, very successfully demonstrated in areas that have been hit either by drought or by natural disasters where water has been decayed or that has been dubbed not drinkable. So we really applaud WaterGen for that, especially since water is becoming a hot topic and a hot commodity around the world. We also took a look at ReWalk. ReWalk's a phenomenal invention that allows paraplegics to stand up and also take significant steps. What it is a carapace that fits on the outside of the body and through robotics enables the person who is in it to move. Really, really phenomenal. We also take a look at an invention that really is saving lives, and some call it God's hands over the state of Israel, and that's the Iron Dome. And we've seen the Iron Dome demonstrated countless times over the last decade or so as rockets and mortars have been fired from the Gaza Strip into Israel. The Iron Dome is a battery system that senses incoming rockets. it is able to then kind of assess or plot where the rocket is headed to and shoots off its interceptors, thus saving countless lives. And who can forget, I think it is great and a huge success. Some say it wasn't, but Israel's Bereshit unmanned spacecraft. Earlier last year, this unmanned spacecraft made its bid to land on the moon, and while the landing wasn't quite as we hoped, it kind of crashed on the moon, which to me is certainly no different as how too many people drive here, unfortunately. The fact that Israel, one of the smallest countries in the world, became the 7th country to send a spacecraft to the moon, joining giant countries such as the United States, China, and the former Soviet Union, is a phenomenal achievement. So we can only sit back with bated breath to see what the little state of Israel has in store for this next decade. Before I remind you about our website, there is a international campaign taking place on Twitter raising awareness to the plight or to issues of anti-Semitism around the world. It is the hashtag #MeToo campaign, and people are encouraged to please go onto Facebook, share their experiences with anti-Semitism. It doesn't have to be from now, it can be throughout the course of your life, with the hashtag #MeToo to expose and raise awareness as to the dangers of anti-Semitism. I've shared my stories there. It is very painful to do so, but it is a time to use our voices and be brave. So if you are on Twitter, please go on, share your experiences, and don't forget the hashtag #MeToo. In the meantime, you can check out our original content on our website at www.layoftheland.online. Check out Voices from the Arab World that you may not hear in other papers, but you will hear them on Lay of the Land. You can also check us out on Facebook at Lottle's site. We love to hear from you, and we love that you're a part of our community wherever you are. So please like us and follow us and share the content. It goes a long way to raising awareness against anti-Semitism. And also follow our YouTube channel, The Israel Brief. If you click on subscribe, you'll be notified every time we post a brief, and please share the briefs. It goes a long way to making sure that Israel's side of the story, or what is happening in Israel and to global Jewry, gets out to the masses. So on this first day of the new year, I'm Rolene Marks with the Israel Brief. We'll chat again tomorrow.